Here in the media center, we will round out our qualifying press conference here with Brad Keselowski, driver of the number 2 Detroit Genuine Parts Ford, who will start tomorrow night's race second. Brad, talk a little bit about the practice session and qualifying being canceled today, and where you're going to start tomorrow night for the race.
Yeah, well, we've been keeping the trend up here of starting up towards the front. It's something I'm really happy about. Pit road selection is important with that, and always hear the track position battle, but probably more so than ever here this weekend. We did some runs and felt like being in traffic would slow our car down tremendously. So starting up front, hopefully we can just avoid it the entire race. Penske cars have been very strong all season, so proud for that. My teammate is especially strong this weekend, so I think he'll probably be one of the guys to beat. Hopefully we can get right there with him and put together a solid race and a win. Richmond hasn't always been the best racetrack for us, so we'd like to put a number up on the board and finally get the great finish that we've been capable of and just haven't put all the way together. So certainly we'd still like to qualify and have a shot at the pole, but we kind of foresaw this coming and put a little extra emphasis in the practice sessions to get a good run out of it in a good spot, and glad to see that kind of panned out for us.
All right, we'll open it up for questions for Brad. Please raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. Questions for Brad. We'll start up here with Dustin.
Dustin Long, MRN.com. Brad, since you're posting your dream schedule, certainly has created a lot of talk, and I know you talked about on Twitter you can't get everything that you hope for, but what kind of reaction are you getting, and what kind of response, and how is your thought process changing a little bit on what you posted since?
Yeah, you can never expect to get everything you want in anything. In some cases you just hope to get something, but I think it's just a great topic that is healthy for our sport to always have a discussion ongoing. Whether or not we all agree, which is always going to be very seldom, few and far between, where we can find things that everyone within the sport agrees upon. But I think when I look at my role as an ambassador of the sport, it's one that I take very seriously. And being a part of that dialogue and attempt to always better the sport is one of the things that I'd like to play a role in if possible. Certainly I don't have all the answers. I don't pretend to have all the answers, but you start off with what you think and kind of how you feel about it, and I'm glad to share those things with our fans. I don't really see anyone else out there doing that, which is okay. It kind of puts me in a unique spot, and I like to have fun with that. I think our fans do too.
So is any kind of reaction you've gotten that changes your thinking on anything, or have there been any other better ideas?
Oh, there's always better ideas. It's hard to think of one specific off the top of my head. Sorry, I didn't come in here with a list. But I'm sure there's always better ideas, and I don't pretend to know everything. Just have fun with it.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Hank.
Hank Kurz with AP. You describe yourself as an ambassador of the sport. Do you think that's kind of every driver's job, or do you think that's just the more thoughtful guy's job, or where do you think that where do you draw that from?
Well, I think every driver is an ambassador of the sport, without a doubt. Just some have a louder voice. Winning races, running up front, those type of things give you a louder voice. And then it's, each individual's responsibility to pick how they want to carry it from there. Now, I'm privileged, very, very privileged, and it's something that's not lost upon me that, with winning a championship, sometimes that voice gets louder and heard in different areas than perhaps I'd even think it would have been accordingly. And that is a tremendous opportunity to, help out. So I'm glad to do that.
Okay, we'll take our next question up here from Jeff.
Jeff Glove from USA Today. Thinking ahead a week, with the format of winning to get in, there's a lot of temptation to think, okay, this Talladega race could be one that an underdog goes for and wins, which could very well happen. On the other hand, if you look at a lot of the races, it seems like aside from David Reagan and Trevor Bayne, there really haven't been that many underdog winners in Cup races recently. So with the way that the package is now, do you view Talladega as still that kind of lottery ball, anybody can win race, or do you see maybe a favorite or kind of a regular guy that's up front emerging with the win next week?
Yeah, I don't know if I really see any favorites. It's hard because this new car has really changed the game in a lot of different ways. I think it made plate racing better. Plate racing this year, I think, has been better racing than what it was last year. You know, all we have is Daytona to sample from, but we had the, unlimited duels and obviously the 500. And I felt like the racing got better in the sense that last year at Talladega we saw it get single file up against the wall and nobody could really make a move. And we saw that a little bit at Daytona as well. That seems to not so much be the case with this package. But I'm not 100% sure of that, so it's hard to give you a great answer for that. But, you know, Talladega will always be a wild card in some sense of the matter because of how big, wide it is, and the lack of handling. It's always been that way for some reason. Obviously I got my first win there in kind of a wild card fashion, but at the end of the day, I always feel like the person that wins there deserved it and made a great move. You know, so I don't think of it as a lottery. You know, people use the word lottery a lot there, and I never feel that way about it. I always feel like the person that wins there made a great move to make it happen. And in that sense, you know, there's 25 or 30 drivers that are very skilled and talented enough to pull that off. So, it is, still a bit of a wild card in that sense because that's not what we're used to. We're used to on any given week, maybe it being 15 to 20 drivers. So, certainly, like you said, you add another pool of probably 5 or 10 drivers and teams into the mix that are capable of winning, and I think that's great. Certainly with the new format, that can change everything, assuming that team can stay inside the top 30, because I don't personally expect there to be more than 16 winners, and that could be very, very significant.
Okay, we'll go to the press box for a question. All right, we'll come back down here while they're working that out up there. Chris, did you have a question in the back?
Chris Knight, catchfest.com. I just wonder with your blog, I've seen a lot of the fans respond. And some of the fans said that your blog has been inspirational and influential to them. And I just wondered if that was your goal when you set out to do this. And is it any type of, what kind of benefit are you getting out of it other than just speaking your mind? Is it like a therapy? What's been your goal with the blog all along?
Well, I'm Chris. I think you can look in this room, and most of the media would tell you that, the sports world is evolving, at least in a media sense. Certainly more than just that. And so it's a challenge to me to be able to put out great content for not just my fans but all of our sports fans, and I understand some of the challenges that are within this room to be able to get those messages out, and it seems like specific to this sport, those messages always seem to get stuck in some kind of PR front or branding front, and that was always very frustrating to me personally. And that was kind of a way for me to escape that and get out great content, and also at the same time personally rewarding as a way to engage some people that I wouldn't have been able to really reach before. So I think it's had a further reach than I thought it would, which is great. Certainly in some ways it definitely serves as therapy and a way for me to talk and maybe take it in a more measured step to not get in trouble like I used to do all the time. So, that's good for me, certainly good for Roger. So I'm having fun with it, and I'm just really thrilled that there's been a response at all. I'm happy and humbled by that. Yeah, I mean, I've got a list of ideas, so I think I'll probably be good for the next 3 or 4 weeks, but it's hard to pick which one I want to use at any time, and it seems like as I come out with different ones, about 3 or 4 more hit me, so I feed off of this group, and hopefully this group feeds off of some of the work I do, and I really think it's great for everybody. So, it's just, like I said, I'm just having fun with it and rolling with it.
Any additional questions down in the media center for Brad? Okay, Dustin?
Dustin Long, MRN.com. Wanted to ask you, and I don't know if this was an event that impacted you. Next week will be the 20th anniversary since Senna's death. You would have been 10. Do you remember much about that as anything?
Yeah,
what
remember,
kind of stands out about that?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it was it reminded me a lot of when Dale Drive, or Dale Earnhardt died as soon as in the sense of the kind of general mood and atmosphere within my own family's household. My dad and brother used to wake up early and watch the Formula One races, and I was only about 9 or 10 years old, and I can remember my dad was a big Senna fan, and I can remember him. He never was really a loud, or never has been really a loud cheerleader type, but I can remember him being more so of that than anything else I've ever seen, which was always unique to me. I just remember the somber tone in the household. Obviously my dad raced, and so that brought up a lot of questions, as a kid that I would ask my mom and dad, because there was a sequence of, untimely accidents at that time. And I can remember that one, and there was the death of this one driver that my dad raced in the ARCA series at the time. There was this one driver that I was always such a huge fan of outside of my dad, and he had died, I want to say a year earlier. I think that was 94, and he died in 93. His name was Chris Gerke. And I remember when he died, just, my parents wouldn't tell me, and we were watching TV one night, and one of those memorial pictures came up. I can't remember, it was like Speed World or something like that, what was on TV back then. And I remember that, and my parents rushing me off to, go take a bath, but I'd already seen it was too late. So I remember that brought up a lot of questions when I was a kid, and very similar. That was really hard for them to explain to me when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. And so those are kind of the memories that I have.
Okay, we'll take our final question from the press box, who is having audio issues, so we'll ask it down here. Go ahead.
So this is from the press box, right? The question is, well, you were seen in a video, an interview, that you expressed some disappointment that you didn't get a ride with Hendrick Motorsports. The question is, do you feel that you would have been able to win a championship with Hendricks as quickly as you were able to do it with Penske?
I don't know. I feel lucky to be where I'm at. I feel lucky to be with Roger. I feel very fortunate. It's a really, really tough question to answer because, it's a fork in the road moment, and obviously I didn't go down that direction. I'm not going to say I haven't thought about it. Absolutely, I've thought about it. But, part of me says I would have never met Paul. And I never got the chance to work with him if it wasn't for that. I definitely think I could have, made a large contribution to where they're at. But then again, somebody else would look across and say they've won, 2 out of the 4 championships since that happened. So, what more could you have made for a contribution? But, I'm not sure, but, I definitely feel like I could have helped out. So,
Brad, thank you very much for your time this afternoon, and good luck tomorrow night.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.